Hey there! Did you know that there are only three components which the computer cannot function without, and that these are neither monitor nor keyboard or mouse? Today we will start talking about what a computer is really made of, how it works, and even walk through a creation of a simple virtual program. So as I said, there are only three components which the computer cannot function without. These are processor, memory, and motherboard. Of course, it also needs some source of power, but it's no different to any other electronic device, so we will not focus on that. Let's start with the processor, or CPU, which stands for Central Processing Unit. The processor is responsible for the computation and data processing which computer does. It has a predefined set of the very simple commands, like add one number to another or move some data from one place to another, but it is able to perform billions and billions of these basic operations every second, which makes it look like it does something very complex in a blink of an eye. The second component without which computer cannot function is the memory, or RAM, which stands for Random Access Memory. Even though processor does all the actual computation, it is useless without memory, because RAM is where CPU is looking for the commands to execute and data to process. And the final must-have component is the motherboard. You can think of the motherboard as a backbone of the computer, which connects all its components together, in our simplest case, the CPU and the RAM. To make an analogy with the real life, you can think of an office worker who works behind a desk in an office. In that analogy, the worker would be the processor, the desk would be the memory, and papers on the desk would be the commands and the data to process, and the office itself would be the motherboard. Now we are well equipped to go over an example of a simple virtual program which we could run on our bare computer. That will help to understand how the CPU, RAM, and motherboard are working together. Let's say we want the computer to answer how much would be a sum of two numbers. To start, we would need to put the first number in one place and second in another place inside the memory. Then we would need to put the following commands into another place in the memory. Take a number from the first place in the RAM and load it into the CPU. Take the second number from another place in the RAM and also load it into the CPU. Add the numbers loaded into the CPU to each other and put the result back into some place in the RAM. After that, we would need to instruct the CPU to execute these commands, and CPU will execute them one after another. After CPU finished this program, the result would be in the desired place in the memory. Now you may ask, how do we put a number or put a command into the computer's memory? Also, how do we instruct CPU to start executing the command which we put somewhere in the memory? This is where the motherboard could also help. It not only connects different components together, but it is also responsible for how the computer starts. It has a small built-in chip called BIOS, which stands for Basic Input-Output System, and the chip has a set of the CPU commands called firmware, which are loaded by the motherboard into a special place in the RAM when the computer starts. As soon as the commands are loaded, CPU starts executing them. In theory, using special hardware, it is possible to replace the firmware in the BIOS with another set of the commands, which could do this: put the number, put the commands, and start executing the program for us. In practice, it's not a good idea. not only because it is a hard thing to do, but also because it would change how the computer starts. In order to solve that problem in a proper way, we would need to add new components to our computer. Another question to ask could be something like, okay, result is somewhere in the memory, but how can I get it? Unfortunately, that problem cannot be solved by doing some weird stuff with BIOS or any other piece of our bare computer. So even though CPU, RAM, and motherboard together are making a real computer, which can run some real programs, in practice it is no use. We will talk about other important components to make our bare computer more practical in my next video. And for now, thanks for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon.